This is Travis Wayne Goodsell. I found a video called 50 More Problems with the Mormon Church. This is number 2 as I was listening to it and immediately knew I had to do a video covering this topic. And so I'll let him introduce what caught my attention and needed to explain in further detail for you. And so as you can see, I'm working from the computer recording, and so I'm not from my movie maker or on a video, so this is the format you get.
Similar racist teachings about the curse of Cain are also woven into the Book of Abraham, which teaches the descendants of Ham were despised because they were black.
Did you hear that? The Book of Abraham. And you might think, looking at this, that, oh, this is in the Book of Abraham. Oh, wow, it actually says that blackness came upon the children of Canaan, and the seed of Cain were black. Oh, wow, that's in the Book of Abraham. No, it's not. If you'd actually fact-checked this guy, you would have realized, no, 8 and 22 are not verses in the Book of Abraham. Well, where are they? Where did he get them from? Was it an older version of the Book of Abraham? No. Fact check. It's from the selections of the Book of Moses, which was Joseph Smith's revision of the Bible. If you're not familiar with it, that's because the Brighamite Church changed it to translation. And they had to do that because the reorganized church took possession of Joseph Smith's revision, and so the Brighamite church had possession of his history, and so they changed it to translation because the reorganized church had it as revision. And so this isn't a translation of any kind. Don't let the Mormon Church, the Brighamite Mormon Church, fool you. Joseph Smith was not translating, he did not translate the Bible. The verse 27 is from the Book of Abraham. Notice nothing about blackness in there. But people could easily assume that, oh, well, it talked about the Canaanites in that context with Pharaoh, because the Canaanites kept the blood of the Pharaohs kept the blood of the Canaanites. And this is where the interesting thing comes in, guys. Have you ever looked at Egyptian documents? What color were the Egyptians? They were black. And so, yes, this is not inappropriate to refer to Egyptians as black, first of all. Second of all, DNA had come out in 2017, I believe, maybe at the beginning of 2018, and the DNA results of the pharaohs of the 18th dynasty and later were from Canaan. And that, of course, infuriated Zawi Hawass, who's in charge of the Egyptian antiquities and does all the videos for Egypt on regards to the ancient Egyptians, because they want to be from Africa. They don't want to be from Canaan. But that's what the DNA showed, and so that's causing some problems with those results. DNA don't lie. No matter what your opinion, no matter what your belief system, DNA don't lie. And so the second thing that we have to remember is that the Brigham Young was the one who made this an issue about racism. It was Brigham Young who took the priesthood away from blacks. It was not Joseph Smith. Joseph Smith was giving priesthood to everybody, and Brigham Young took it away. And so when you read the full context of the Book of Mormon, which was the initial document of Joseph Smith, you realize that what the Book of Mormon is trying to do is help white people at that time have sympathy and empathy for blacks, to take away slavery and treat them as equals. Now that may be hard to view if you take scripture out of context, and also it was designed also to save Native American Indians. If you don't know what was going on in the early 1800s, there was the westward expansion, and Native American Indians were being exterminated because they were considered as subhuman, heathen people. Not even people, animals even. And, and blacks were the main slaves for the building of America, to make money for the rich white folk that owned the businesses that were expanding westward. And so the Book of Mormon to come out and say that blacks and Native American Indians are also descendants of the house of Israel from Jerusalem, as white people believed they were, that was sort of given a middle finger to the white people at that time, saying, hey, be nice, they're human too. And if you don't understand that context, you're not going to understand what's being talked about when you take passages out of Scripture, which is what Brigham Young did in order to justify his racism. And now people are taking the Book of Mormon and the selections of the Book of Moses also out of context to condemn the Brighamite Mormons for racism, which is correct, but this was not the original intention of Joseph Smith. Because white people had a hatred, they had a racism in them, and Joseph Smith had to appeal to whites. And when we get to the Book of Abraham, Joseph Smith throws in a little gotcha, because if you notice in facsimile number 1, explanation number 10, where does it say that Abraham is from? Because everybody else believes, and believed then too, that Abraham came from Mesopotamia and therefore is a white guy. And and there are just so many problems with the biblical text if you place Abraham in Mesopotamia, that there's no way it could be true. And I've demonstrated that it's not true. He actually is from, well, as Joseph Smith says, Abraham in Egypt. Because facsimile number 1 is a story that supposedly happened in Mesopotamia, in the land of Ur of the Chaldees, which everybody assumes is in Babylon. And other scholars have apologized and tried to say, no, it's up in Samaria. Still Mesopotamia, still white people. No. No. Because Abraham clearly, or Joseph Smith clearly says, it's Abraham in Egypt. And Mormons don't realize that. I've tried to point it out to Mormons, but they're clueless. They don't get it. They're stuck in the traditions that Abraham had to have come from Mesopotamia and no place else. And I'm sorry, but when you reconstruct and repair the biblical text, you realize, oh, yeah, okay, Nimrod, Egyptian. And Ham is the word for Egypt, not Mitzrayim. And the Egyptian creation story and flood story are the biblical creation and flood stories, and all other stories in the Genesis account are also from Egyptian documents, and so on and so forth. So yeah, when everybody misses, therefore, when it says Pharaoh being of that lineage, which he could not have the right of the priesthood, because they don't understand that this is coming through Canaan, son of Ham, son of Noah. And they don't catch what Joseph Smith is making the claim here, long before DNA results came out and said, hey, the Egyptians are descendants of Canaan. And Zawi Hawass says, no, it's not true. But no, it is true. So Joseph Smith got this right long before DNA results came out, just recently. So I wanted to point this out to your attention and correct the critics. It's great to be critical of something that you see as wrong, but you got to make sure that you're right about others being wrong before you come out and say it. So I wanted to point out this little error that the guy made here in his video. 8 and 22 are from Moses 7, 8 and 22. So just so that you understand.